40th Anniversary Special Founders Awards.
So I am so grateful to be here tonight to present an award to two men who have changed the culture and thus the world. Alan Alda played Hawkeye Pierce on the classic television series MASH and wrote and directed many of the episodes. His 33 Emmy nominations, if you can believe that, include performances in 30 Rock, in 2006 for West Wing, winning his 6th Emmy, and in 1999 for ER. He has the distinction of being nominated for an Oscar, a Tony, and an Emmy, as well as publishing a best-selling book, all in the same year, 2005. His Emmy nomination was for his role in The West Wing. His Tony nomination was for his role in the Broadway revival of David Mamet's Glengarry Glen Ross. In addition to receiving an Academy Award nomination for his appearance in Scorsese's The Aviator that year, he was also nominated for a British Academy Award. So to be clear, the man can act. In 1995, Mr. Alda was inducted into the Television Hall of Fame. He hosted the award-winning series Scientific American Frontiers on PBS for 11 years, interviewing leading scientists from around the world. In January 2010, he hosted the PBS series The Human Spark, in which he interviewed dozens of scientists searching for answers to the question, what is it that makes us human? Thanks to the brilliant career of Mr. Alda and his support of such causes as the Equal Rights Amendment, we just might have an answer to that question. Norman. In 1999, President Clinton bestowed the National Medal of Arts on Norman Lear, noting that, quote, Norman Lear has held a mirror up to society and changed the way we look at it. Norman began his television writing career in 1950 for the Ford Star Review, starring Jack Haley. After only 4 shows, he was hired away by Jerry Lewis, which I have to hear about one day, to write for the Martin Lewis Colgate Comedy Hour. In 1958, he teamed with director Bud Yorkin to form Tandem Productions. Together, they produced several feature films, with Mr. Lear taking on the roles of producer, writer, and director. He was nominated in 1967 for an Academy Award for his script for Divorce American Style. In 1970, CBS signed Tandem to produce All in the Family, which first aired on January 12, 1971, and ran for 9 seasons. It earned 4 Emmy Awards for Best Comedy Series, as well as the Peabody Award in 1977. All in the Family was followed by a succession of other hit television shows, including Maude, Sanford and Son, The Jeffersons, One Day at a Time, Good Times, and Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. Concerned about the growing influence of the radical right wing, Mr. Lear decided to leave television in 1980 and form People for the American Way, a nonprofit organization designed to speak out for the Bill of Rights guarantees. In addition, Mr. Lear has formed other nonprofit organizations, including the Norman Lear Center, the Business Enterprise Trust, and with his wife Lynn, co-founded the Environmental Media Association to mobilize the entertainment industry to become more environmentally responsible. Mr. Lear has additionally influenced dozens, if not hundreds, of artists to be more responsible and shine a spotlight on the disenfranchised and those without a voice. I am proud to say that I aim to be one of those people, and additionally, I would like the room to know that to this day, I can still sing the entire opening theme of One Day at a Time. It is my pleasure to present the 40th Anniversary Special International Emmy Founders Awards to 2 of my idols, guys who really did change the face of television and thus the world, as I said earlier, Mr. Alan Alda and Mr. Norman Lear.
It's really funny to see those clips of 40 years ago, and that wonderful moment that we had 40 years ago seems to me like it happened to somebody else. It wasn't me, it was another person. But what's nice is I get to live in his house. It was an extraordinary time for us. Thanks, first of all, to the brilliant trio of Larry Gelbart, Gene Reynolds, Burt Metcalf, who produced and wrote the show, and the cast who learned to love one another and work really, really well together because we knew we were working on something bigger than any of us individually. But the thing that the group that I don't think that most people are aware of are the people who really lived through the stories that we told decades later. The men and women in those hospital tents who went through the cold of winter and the blood and the pain and the loneliness, and seeing their patients die, some of whom were only a couple of years away from being children. And we learned about their stories in interviews, and we picked over those memories of theirs, sometimes getting a whole story, a whole show out of one memory that was only a sentence long. We're so grateful to them, and they're never talked about it at an award time. We were lucky to have that entry onto the air at a very special time. It wouldn't have been the same if it weren't that particular time, because that was a time where the door had been opened for us by Norman Lear. Because now we could be funny about things that were serious. And Norman opened that door for us and for the whole country. We were also lucky that we were at a time when the network could have patience and stick with us. You know, in the beginning, for the first year, we were at the bottom of the ratings. We used to say we were proud that we were in the top 78. But they stuck with us in an accelerating world. It would be nice if we had more time to nurture things that are different and creative. So thank you, and I thank Norman for being Norman and for giving us what he gave us. It was fun tonight to meet all my colleagues from around the world. And I thank you on behalf of the person whose house I live in. I know he'd be very grateful for this. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. And what do I say to these guys? Alan Alda, we've known each other a great long while. I've never thought of him without smiling. I've never thought of him without feeling respect for some talent I don't begin to understand. It's so deep, it's so profound. And he's married to a lady who is one of the giant figures of sweetness and decency and so forth in my life. Then comes this guy, Ryan Murphy. When Jessica Lange was introducing him, I swear to God, I was thinking, God, I'd like to know that man. That was the dearest, greatest introduction. And I lost myself for a little bit and actually thought that, and I know the man, but not well. We actually just met today for the first time. We've talked on the phone. But Ryan, thank you for those words. I don't have the words to thank you for those words. And this evening, I've been thinking for a long while now, when the world is saved, and I won't wake up the morning, I don't believe it will be, and we all know it has to be. I'm not using too strong a word when I say saved. But when that happens, the door will be kicked open by the arts. And the policies and the politicians and so forth will follow. And I was overwhelmed with that tonight, watching all these awards. Too long, the evening's too long. But I loved every bit of it. Because it was celebrating what I feel so deeply. The world needs to come together, or will come together, through the arts. So, altogether, thank you, Ryan. As they say in your part of the country, that introduction was too wet to plow. Or in Yiddish, ich halt nicht Deutsch, which means if there is another Jew anywhere that says he's feeling better than I am at this moment, he's lying through his teeth. I've been thinking about my mother today because I would have called her with an honor like this in Bridgeport, Connecticut, as I did every time something turned up in my life that was wonderful, to tell her this was happening, that I had just been asked to accept this award. And I know exactly what her reaction would have been, because a great many years ago, my great friend John Mitchell, who was the first president of the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, called me And he said, you know, Norman, this was on a Sunday morning, they are starting a television Hall of Fame. And the first inductees are going to be General Sarnoff, that was the guy who started NBC, Bill Paley, who started CBS, Edward R. Murrow, the greatest of correspondents, Patty Chayefsky, perhaps the greatest writer that came out of television, Milton Berle, Lucille Ball, and you. I called my mother in a flash. I got her on the phone in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and I said, Mom, this is what's happening. These people are all getting, they're going to be the first inductees into the Television Hall of Fame, and me. And she said, listen, if that's what they want to do, who am I to say? So, back to the evening that brought us all together. We've all heard about the golden, or read, or somebody's talked to us about the golden age of television. And Alan, you might have caught the tail end of it. I don't know, I'm some years older than you, but I was there for what we all call the golden age of television. And it was wonderful, it was marvelous. The fact that it went on at 8 and off at 9, 9:30 made it even miraculous. Playhouse 90, Philco Playhouse, Your Show of Shows, live drama, live comedy, great entertainment. But if you're like me, if your families are like mine, there are shows today that you're hearing about, that you're reading about: Homeland, Breaking Bad, Mad Men, Modern Family, Boardwalk Empire, Downton Abbey, Dexter, House, The Daily Show, Community, Sherlock. And then there are shows that, you know, people are talking about that, and they're saying, what? You're not watching, you're not looking at Game of Thrones, Justified, The New Normal, CSI, Suits, Parks and Recreation, Sons of Anarchy, Treme, Curb Your Enthusiasm, The Colbert Report, Glee, Louis, how I love Louis, and The New Normal. If I haven't mentioned that again, I could mention 16 times. It is so great. And better than ever, after 30 plus years, tireless, indefatigable, unpredictable, always hilarious, Saturday Night Live. And if I haven't mentioned your favorite show in all of that, that's exactly my point. This is the golden age of television. Don't let anybody tell you different. There's just one thing missing, and that is, it's a missing demographic. And there are a lot of us in this room, from 55 to 105. I'm probably pushing the 105 closer than anybody else here. But that demographic is missing. And because, I thought about this at lunch today, when I realized how many people are here from all over the world. I wrote a script a year ago. I'm plugging something here. I wrote a script a year ago about older people, elderly people in a retirement home. And everybody thought it was funny. Anybody that read it, all of the networks and so forth, nobody will go near the demographic. This country is addicted to 18 to 39. So I thought I would take a moment to tell you that. Ask me the title of the show. The title is Guess Who Died? Anyway, let's do a co-production and let's stay together forever. Thank you.